Around August 2024, the NFL community called Jamar Chase selfish. But 8 months later, he changed how NFL stars get paid. How did Jamar Chase go from sitting out to being the highest paid receiver in the NFL? Unknown to everyone at the time, the NFL was about to witness a huge drama straight out of the player empowerment playbook, a quiet rebellion that could have cost him millions. Mike Florio called it a high-stakes gamble that could cost millions. ESPN's Adam Schefter said the Bengals were pissed off, but Chase had done this before. Fresh off a Boltonikoff and a national title with Joe Burrow at LSU, he shocked college football by opting out of an entire season. He gambled on himself and won. But this story isn't just about money. It's about how a kid from Louisiana went from sitting out to setting the market, and about what happened in the 8 months between silence and the signature. And how did the deal change everything we know about player power, the standoff, and the statement? The Bengals are grinding in preparation for the new season, but while Jamar Chase still trains with the team, he doesn't seem to be interested in playing unless he gets that $1 more than Justin Jefferson.
He's wearing the $1 sweatshirt as he's walking in there talking about getting $1 more than his old college teammate Justin Jefferson. Should Jamar Chase play today without a new contract?
The front office called it being difficult. Fans called it a power play. And they were right. Every skipped rep was a message. Every day in street clothes turned the temperature up on the Bengals front office. Because this was not a protest, it was precision. Critics swarmed like flies on fresh controversy. And the viral Chiefs podcast kept calling him selfish for disrespecting Burrow. But here's the part the critics missed. That selfish move was inspired by loyalty. Burrow had already structured his deal to help the team, and Chase was mirroring that idea, just through a different kind of pressure. He was saying, pay me fair, but keep us together. While they called him a distraction, Chase stayed locked in. He studied film and he shadowed every meeting. And right from the get-go, he showed up and he showed out. 127 receptions, 1,708 yards, 17 touchdowns, a receiving triple crown. This has happened only 5 times in the history of the NFL since the Super Bowl era. It was dominance that felt inevitable. Defenses rolled coverages his way. He still found space. He turned double teams into highlight reels. Every stat became a receipt. And here's the crazy part. While the media kept replaying his hold-in drama, he was rewriting how leverage works in the NFL. No missed paychecks, no public feuds. Just production so undeniable that Cincinnati ran out of reasons to wait. By December, the question was no longer, will they pay him? It was, how can they afford not to? Inside the building, coaches knew it too. He was the offense's heartbeat. When Burrow needed a spark, Chase answered. When the Bengals were gasping for momentum, Chase supplied oxygen. That was when the general public's perception of the situation started to shift from frustration to realization. It went from, this kid is difficult, to this kid is indispensable. But how did that shift lead to the most expensive receiver deal in NFL history? We'll soon get into the details of what he gave up in guarantees to make it happen. I'm talking about something so tangible that no stat sheet can explain it. Fast forward to March 2025, and the waiting was over. The unbelievable deal had happened. 4 years, $161 million, with $112 million guaranteed. With earnings of $40.25 million per year, Jamar Chase had become the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. But this wasn't just a contract, it was a statement carved into the salary cap, and the fine print told the real story. With rolling guarantees and smart backloading, the deal was designed to save the Bengals over $15 million in immediate space. However, that flexibility came with a price. You see, Chase left guaranteed money on the table so the team could breathe. He bet that stability and rings would make up the difference later. But this was the same patience Burrow showed with his own deal. It is precisely the same playbook from teammates who have known each other for years. So when the ink dried, the city exhaled. T. Higgins signed a week later for $115 million. And together, their combined $69 million average salary became the richest wide receiver duo in NFL history. So, what did people say? The league called it risky, but the fans called it beautiful. But here's where it gets interesting. That structure is not just about keeping stars. It's about building belief. It allowed for front-loaded bonuses which provided motivation, plus the per-game incentives which kept bodies on the field. But more importantly, it had a flexibility that showed that the team wanted championships. Still, the ripple effect came fast. The depth took a hit and the defense thinned out. Immediately, rival fans started running cap jokes by the hour. But Chase silenced them the only way he knows how: elite performance. Then Week 7 came against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a divisional tension with a hostile crowd. This was the perfect opportunity for Jamar to prove his worth, and he did it in brilliant fashion. 16 catches, a Bengals record with 161 yards and a touchdown. Every drive bent around him, and every coverage broke the same way. You see, Chase was not just catching passes. He was validating a philosophy that if gravity has a price, teams should be willing to pay in full. And that night in Pittsburgh, he proved that Cincinnati made the right choice. Soon, fantasy owners were smiling, analysts were recalculating market charts, while front offices started rewriting their budgets. But while all this was going on, most people did not notice that Chase's contract was quietly reshaping the negotiation strategy across the league. Edge rushers used to set the ceiling for non-quarterbacks. Not anymore. Now receivers are knocking on the same door as pass rushers and quarterbacks. But the Bengals were happy to accept the deal. After the contract, the Bengals now had a clear identity built on trust between quarterback and receiver. And what did he say to the media right after signing the deal?
Jamar, when you were drafted, you said you wanted to break every record and broken records. Then you said you wanted to be the highest paid receiver and reset the market. Without that, what's next?
Win this championship, man. That's all I could think about. You know, I want to win.
Just hunger. That response showed that the hunger is still there. And wait until you hear what he changed in his pregame ritual to prove it. The ink had dried, but the story did not. Because in Cincinnati, the real judgment comes in January. You see, the Bengals window rides on two heartbeats, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And when both are healthy, the offense hums like a jet engine. However, when one slips, the whole system feels it. Nonetheless, the team was so explosive, and when they clicked, they looked unstoppable. The thing is, Chase's timing with Burrow's borders on telepathy, and they built a connection that turns third and long into routine. As for Chase, even when defenses double him, he still finds a way to win, but there is a truth that hangs over every big contract. Production buys you headlines, while rings write your legacy. What this means is, if Cincinnati somehow finds its way to the top, Chase's hold-in becomes folklore, and he plans to make that happen. However, if they stumble again, critics will say the money cost them depth. So, in a way, every snap will be viewed as a referendum on that $40.25 million. But then the ripple is spreading across the league. Young stars are watching. Terry McLaurin, Trey Hendrickson, and Brandon Starks. These guys have seen what a hold-in can do when backed by performance. And not only that, the fact that Uno also helped to make sure T. Higgins also got a better deal speaks to how much of a leader he's ready to be. And here is the quiet irony. What started as a move some called selfish might end up helping players everywhere. Chase showed that leverage does not have to be loud. It can be strategic, it can be smart, and it can change the business without tearing the locker room apart. Still, the final verdict has not arrived. Championships will decide how this story is remembered. Because in the NFL, money fades, but legacy lasts. Jamar Chase sat out college, he sat out camp, and still became the highest paid receiver in NFL history. He bet on health, on production, and on leverage. He turned 2 sit-outs into generational wealth. And maybe more importantly, he took control of his situation and story. From Baton Rouge to Cincinnati, from opt-out to the extension, the pattern is the same. When the world doubted, he stayed patient. And when the time came, he spoke in numbers that no one could argue with. And the lesson is simple. Sometimes sitting out is not running away. Sometimes it's the first step to sitting on top. But now he has a bigger mission, bring the championship to Cincinnati. But do you think he can do that soon? Let us know in the comments. And please help the channel out by hitting that hype button as well as the like button. If you enjoyed this video of a player going from sitting out to becoming the highest paid, then you'll love our video of the NFL legend who went from undrafted to NFL terror and Hall of Famer.